Hey there YouTube, I'm Carl and welcome back or welcome to LARP Legion. And today we're going to talk about one of the most important LARP topic there is, character creation. But before we get into it, we actually reached 250 subscribers, which means we will have another giveaway. I will be giving away this Artisan Azure leather pouch, so stick until the end to know the details of the giveaway. So, you're attending your first LARP, but to do so you need a character. Now I do know that some LARPs actually hand you a character to play, but that is not what we're going to talk about today. So buckle up, because here's 5 tips on how to create a nice LARP character. Tip number 1, follow the lore of your game. Creating a character is often the favorite part of most when it comes to role-playing game. But for LARP, it is a bit different. I've seen many cases of people actually creating their LARP character before they even know what LARP they're actually gonna attend, which is perfectly fine and super fun to do. The thing to keep in mind though is that be ready to rewrite the character's lore to fit your game's lore accordingly. For example, if you want to play a Fae, make sure that your game actually has them as a playable race, or else you might be pretty bummed out when you get told that you cannot actually play as one. An alternative for it though could be that you say that your character is so delusional that they're actually thinking that they're Fae. So even though they're obviously not one, it could be really interesting that way. So just make sure to follow the lore of your game and everything should be okay. Tip number 2, normal is okay. There is no need for your character to be the most special being in the game's universe. Some of the best characters I've played with were actually just mere villagers or merchants. And I cannot tell you how many times I've heard backstories of characters being resurrected by the deity of death to carry on her will or whatever. So there is no need to try to outdo other characters on the uniqueness scale. Just be normal. Maybe? Tip number 3, keep your backstory short. Imagining the whole life of a character you've created is super fulfilling and it makes it feel like a real person. Except that for LARP, it can actually shackle the growth of your character. A good trick for your backstory is to be able to tell the full backstory in 1 to 2 minute max. If you cannot do that, you've probably written too much of a backstory for your character. See your first game as that character as the beginning of their growth as a character, so like a new life. So that way they grow with the game rather than with stuff that happened out of the game. It'll make it feel more real because your character will grow as you actually play it, and also other players will see that growth and they will be able to relate to it and talk about it. A good example of character growth in game is that Grog actually didn't used to have those 3 scars on his face, but after being mauled by a monster at night and almost killed, the story of it was pretty much he came alive but still had the scars from the encounter. Think about your character growing as a person rather than on paper. It'll feel way more fun to play it. Tip number 4, add a quirk to your character. Adding a quirk to your character is a good way for you to stand out as a player. A good example of it is that my character, Grog Steelmaw, has this huge steel maw that is a prisoner collar that got melted to his neck when he was a prisoner. So I never take it off in game. I can't because it's melted to my neck. And yes, I know for videos I don't wear it, but it's because the sound kind of bounces inside the maw and the microphone has trouble picking it up, so I'm sorry, okay? But in game, I never take it off. Like, I've literally went to the in-game showers at Bicoline and kept my maw off until I was in the shower. So people looked at me really funny, but I was like, I cannot take it off. I promise. I will die. I will die. That visual quirk actually made a lot of people notice me at my first game at my main LARP, and it made it so I was a recognizable figure. So when people would say Grog Steelmaw, they could still be like, I don't know who that is, but Steelmaw kind of rings a bell because that guy is walking around with a huge thing around his neck. So that way it kind of created a connection from name to visual. So that can also be a really good trick to stand out. The quirk that you choose for your character can also be like a mental one. So let's say your character, every time you meet someone, you have to shake their hand. So let's say you'll meet an allied gang, but like it's kind of neutral. You go up to the chieftain and everyone's just looking at you and you shake their hands. Or let's say you meet the big bad evil of the game and everyone's ready to fight them, and the first thing they see is just someone going, hey, what, hey. Everyone, I think it would create confusion, but also like you can play it off as maybe you were born in a really strict family that made you be super polite to a point where it's like kind of ingrained in your brain. So you can always find funny ways to play with it, to rather be really extreme, like going up to shake the villain's hand, or just borderline where you shake everyone's hand that you have a discussion with. And finally, tip number 5. Please, 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 do not make an antisocial character. When I say antisocial, I mean the classic broody, mysterious loner type that sits in the corner by themselves and doesn't even look at others. You might think that people will be like, oh, look at him, he's so mysterious over there, I wonder what's his name. But honestly, what will happen is that you'll just be set apart from everyone, and it will really hinder your experience throughout the game. People won't do it out of spite, it's mostly because they just won't know who you are. So if you want people to talk to you, they kind of have to know like if you're a good guy or a bad guy to begin with. Instead, you can try to make a character that's hard to approach. So be talkative, but when certain subjects come up, you can look really discomforted and try to avoid the subject enough so that people kind of notice that whatever was being talked about made you uncomfortable. Other players will most likely notice it, and they might have questions to ask you about that subject and regarding why it made you uncomfortable. So that's a good way to then roleplay about it, and then also make friends because you kind of talk to them about what troubled you, and it can create some pretty strong connection that way. But never, please never ever just go sit in a corner and try to look moody, because you won't look approachable. It'll look a bit like a chore more than a potential friend. So and that was it for this episode of LARP 101 and 5 tips on character creation. If you think I missed any, let me know in the comment section below, or if it did help you create a character, let me know what that character is. And now, as promised, the giveaway rules. To win this amazing Artisan Azure leather pouch that can pretty much fit any setting for a LARP game, or even just fashion, I guess. If you're into it, why not? So, first rule is that you need to be subscribed to LARP Legion. Second rule, comment down below what the name of your game is and what the name of your character that plays at that game is. I'm curious to know about what game you're all attending or what character name you have, because I like character names, they're interesting. The giveaway will end in 3 weeks from the release of this video, so if you want to win, get to it right now. LARP Legion is also on Facebook, Instagram, and Amino. Amino is a nice app regarding a bunch of communities, including one for LARP, so if you want to come talk about LARP, join us right there on the Amino LARP. I've been Carl. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and join the Legion.